Hey guys, Ezra here and welcome back to another movie review. And today's we're gonna be reviewing Wolfman, which is a remake of the classic The Wolfman from 1941, and it is obviously part of the Universal monster movies. And this movie is actually directed by leighwhannell. You might know him from The Invisible Man, released way back in 2020. That movie is also a reboot of the classic Universal monster movie, The Invisible Man. Lee Whannell is I think he was a best friend with James Wan, which I think James Wan and Lee Whannell are like two great horror directors in my opinion, and then it clearly shows from his previous works. So I thought that, well, what, I'm actually quite interested to see the reboot of The Wolfman, and of course when I heard that it was gonna be directed by Lee Whannell, I have I have hopes for this movie. I hope that it could be a good movie. And yeah, after finished watching it, I thought it's good enough, but it wasn't great. I have some problem with this movie, which I'm gonna get into that later, because I think for the beginning of the reviews, I want to start with something positive first, as usual, before we get to the negative aspect about the movie. Wolfman tells a story about a family that basically got trapped inside of their own house, in the middle of the woods in Oregon, I think. And that is obviously a wolfman that tries to hunt them down, and that's basically the premise of the movie. So I would say that the praises that I get for this movie is obviously the directing by Lee Whannell and the cinematography as well. I think they are fantastic, and Lee Whannell, obviously, if you watch The Invisible Man or Upgrade, like you were familiar with how Lee Whannell used his camera on certain scene or like certain action sequence, especially in Upgrade. So you definitely found the same style here, obviously, in the Wolfman, and I quite like that. I like Willie Lee Whannell's style of directing a movie. I think that he was able to use the camera in an interesting way, and it kind of like a really like it's really engaging to watch the scene the way Lee Whannell like move the camera alongside with the characters, and try to do some action sequence as well, and you are definitely finding that in Wolfman. So I think that's a great thing in my opinion, and I would say that the story as well, the characters are good, and they might not be the best character, but I think they're good enough that you could actually sympathize with the family, that you actually care about their survival, and I think the writing are good enough, to make them actually feel like a family. So yeah, I like the story, I like the characters, I like the directing. I also like the music by Benjamin Wolfich, which I think you might know him from the It movies. That's where I know Benjamin Wolfich. So he does a great job with the score of the movie. And speaking of score, I would say that the sound design in this movie are absolutely fantastic, because this movie took place in the wilderness, right? So obviously there is a bunch of noises, from the trees, the winds, the animals, the crickets. So like I think the sound design in this movie are absolutely fantastic, and then Lee Whannell were using that sound design incredibly in the movie, that I think it was really effective, just to show where the Wolfman was. And I think it's really fantastic to basically build suspense and atmosphere in the movie. And I think yeah, it's really great. And also, I like the opening scenes of this movie, because I think this opening scene of the movie follows like a father and son in the middle of the woods. It's not a spoilers. And I think this opening scene is might be my favorite, one of my favorite opening scenes, or I guess my favorite scenes in the movie, because what Lee Whannell did in this movie is kind of like similar what he did in The Invisible Man, kinda, where because in The Invisible Man, you are actually like I think Lee Whannell was able to pull back the camera and then just like make the viewers look around the room to see where the Invisible Man were. So I think where is the Invisible Man, and then you try to find the Invisible Man in that movie. So I think that's a great job, and I think he did a great job in the opening of this movie, where again he showed a little bit like a glimpses of the Wolfman, and I think as the character sort of understand what's actually going on, because like they hear like a howling, obviously, the camera sort of pulled back with the characters, and then I start to look back at the background, in the woods, try to find where is the sign of the Wolfman. So I think I get that similar vibe between the Invisible Man and Wolfman. So I think that's a good thing. But sadly, that's only like in the beginning, and kind of maybe in the middle of the movie, but not by much. Um, But yeah, I also like the practical effects in this movie. I think the gore in this movie are absolutely disgusting. Especially with the transformation and stuff like that, because they have a lot of like close up on the nail and the face. And then the hand, obviously. And I think it was really grotesque. And I think it's really gross, and I really love it. So yeah, overall this movie has again great directing, great acting, and then I think the story are really engaging enough, that to make you actually care for the characters. So yeah, I would say that is a problem that I had with this movie, that I think a lot of people had a problem also way back in Halloween, I think last year, where they revealed the werewolf design, or I guess the wolfman design, and that takes me to the number one problem in this movie. I don't really like the wolfman design, to be honest. I know some people might say that I think the wolfman design in the movie might be a bit better than what you saw in the Halloween nights, werewolf design, or wolfman design. But I feel like the official design in the movie is maybe a bit of an improvement. And it was certainly gross to see the character transforming into a wolfman. But I feel like the overall design of the Wolfman, I don't particularly love them. I keep seeing that. I'm just like, man, that is not Wolfman, like, because I feel like my brain was so ingrained with the classic Wolfman from 1941, and obviously the remake, the Wolfman in 2010, which I think the Wolfman was designed by Rick Baker, which is the man who is also responsible for the werewolf in An American Werewolf in London, which features a scene, like a famous scene, transformation for a werewolf. So I think, yeah, it's really hard to top that, obviously. But I feel like for a movie that calls Wolfman, I was expecting the Wolfman to be kind of similar to the original design, or at least maybe like tweak a little bit. But I feel like this design are really straying away, or like staying away from the original design, and they try to do their own thing here. So like the Wolfman in this movie is like a, I don't know. I guess it's a disease, maybe from the wilderness or something like that. They don't exactly explain that super clearly. But they kind of allude to that idea. So I think that might upset some people. And I kind of wish that the Wolfman could be a bit more fantastical, or like add some fantasy element. For the Wolfman, because I feel like these monsters are a gothic monster. And I think this movie doesn't feel very gothic. And I think, I don't know. I feel like it's a missed opportunity to. I feel like leighwhannell could lean a little bit on the gothic side of the Wolfman, because I think that worked a bit better compared to this one. But again, this one is not bad. I like the setting that it took place in the middle of nowhere. And obviously the Wolfmen are hunting you down. It's a great setting. But I feel like the Wolfman design is kind of like putting down this movie a little bit for me. Because like I every single time the Wolfmen appear, I just didn't feel, it wasn't impressive for me. And I feel like that's not Wolfman, and that's not even a werewolf. That's like a really weird design for the werewolf. And I guess some people might like it, to be honest. But I feel like for me, I don't particularly like it. Because I think it doesn't feel like a werewolf design for me. It feels like a, I don't know, like a creature from Resident Evil, or like a zombie mutated creatures. That's what I get from this Wolfman design. It doesn't feel like a werewolf design, in my opinion. So that's really sucks. And speak of the werewolf design, I kind of want to bring my comparison to the recent werewolves movie called Werewolves. Starring Frank Grillo. And I think it's kind of funny that I noticed the opposite effects on the both movies. Because in the Frank Grillo Werewolves movie, the werewolf design are absolutely fantastic. But everything else, the characters, the directing, the story, like everything else, kind of suck. That you don't really care about the story and the characters. But the design of the werewolves is actually the saving grace on that Frank Grillo movie. And on the Wolfman, it's actually the opposite thing that happens. Where everything else besides the werewolves are actually great, in my opinion. That you can actually like respect, or at least enjoy the movie enough. That you can tell that this movie was made by a professional director. And it really shows. But the Wolfman design is the one thing that really putting it down, in my opinion. And also, the other criticism that I had about this movie is that I think the middle portion about the movie is kind of slowing down a bit, because like it does focus a lot on the dad's characters, played by Christopher Abbott, I think. Yeah, because I think Ryan Gosling was supposed to be the main characters here, which I kind of wish that it was Ryan Gosling, but I do think Christopher Abbott does a good job as Blake, the husband, and Julia Garner and Matilda Firth also does a great job as Charlotte and Ginger, which is Blake's wife and Blake's daughter, So all the actors does a great job in this movie, but I feel like the middle portion does slows down a bit, because like it was focusing more on the husband characters, with the rest of the family, and I think you might find the storyline engaging again, but I feel like when you are watching a Wolfman movie, I was expecting more action from the Wolfman, but I feel like the middle portion of the movie are really lacking in terms of the suspense, and focusing a bit more on the family aspect, which I understand what they're trying to do and it does work, but I feel like I kind of wish there's a bit more Wolfman action in this movie, like I really miss that, because every single time there is a chase sequence, where the Wolfman is trying to hunt them down, and then or like there's try to fight the family, or something like that, right? When that action sequence happen, it's actually really engaging, and I think it's really well directed, and to the point that I wanted more from it, because like there's a moment in the middle of the movie where I was actually kind of check out, from the movie a little bit, where I was like, okay, like I know that you try to build this family dynamic, and it does work, but I feel like I wanted to see more of the family try to survive the Wolfman, because that's what I came to see this movie for, So I kind of wish there's a bit more scene involving the Wolfman in the middle portion of the movie, and doesn't try to drag down the prices by by just like focusing solely on the family, that I feel like, yeah, it kind of like checks me out from the movie a little bit, I guess one thing I would like to mention is that in the movie that you actually see the perspective of the Wolfman, that I think in the beginning of the movie, in the transformation, I feel like you felt you felt the differences in the transformation when from a human to a Wolfman, and I think what leighwhannell did with the sound design and then how that person was able to change into a Wolfman, I think that he did a great job to show that slow transformation throughout the movie, and I think that he did a great job showing a different perspective from the Wolfman and the human, but there are moments later on in the movie where I feel like that he does a bit too much, on the VFX, where you actually follow the perspective of the Wolfman, that I feel like, okay, I feel like they are trying to do way too much here, and I feel like it stopped working for me, by the time you get to the end of the movie where you get to see another perspective from the Wolfman, but during the early transformation scene, it was actually great the way leighwhannell built that suspense, with the Wolfman transformation. So I think that's a good perspective right there, So I like that. At least for the most part, I like that, until the very end. And yeah, I guess that's my review for Wolfman, guys. I think this is a good movie, it's a good adaptation, at least for Wolfman, even though it doesn't feel like the classic Wolfman, and obviously that's gonna disappoint the people, but I do think this is still a good enough movie that you will enjoy, or at least like respect, from the director leighwhannell, and yeah, I guess we'll see what people will think about this movie, so yeah, again, if you guys already watched the movie, then let me know your opinions in the comment section below, like, do you guys actually like this movie, or do you guys actually prefer the 2010 remake of the Wolfman, because I know some people who are a big fan of the original Wolfman. I don't think you guys are going to like this movie, to be honest, because it does stray too far from what the Wolfman was, even though it still get the suspense and the horror of the characters, it's still there, but I feel like the design is gonna turn people off, so I'm pretty sure that people will prefer the 2010 design of the Wolfman, but still, regardless, let me know in the comment section below, if you guys already watched the movie, then tell me, like, what do you guys think about the design of the Wolfman in this movie? Do you guys actually like the design and the new direction where leighwhannell goes with the Wolfman, or do you guys actually, like me, was actually a bit disappointed with the design, and hopefully they just go with the original design of the Wolfman, because it was so iconic, so yeah, let me know your opinions in the comment section below, guys, and yeah, if you guys enjoyed this review, make sure, guys, bite the subscribe and like button, guys, share the videos, do so stuff, and again, I hope you guys enjoyed this movie review and stay tuned for more in the future, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.